Cities are one of the defining aspects of humanity and the definition of civilization. Civilization is considered to have begun in Mesopotamia when humans started living close together to form cities. This was made possible through agriculture, which allowed a surplus of calories to be generated by the population. This freed up workers to pursue other professions, such as pottery makers, architects, and it allowed ruling classes to arise. Some of the most ancient cities were situated in Mesopotamia and Egypt, such as Ur, Uruk, Memphis, and Thebes. As the human population grew, so did the cities, and Alexandria in Egypt was likely to be the first city to reach 1 million population around the year 100 BC. Throughout history, cities had defined the largest empires, such as Rome, Constantinople, Chang'an, Baghdad, Beijing, Delhi, London, and New York. Today, there are 646 cities with a population over 1 million, with a combined population just shy of 2.5 billion. If we expand this to all cities, over 55% of people on Earth live in a city, and by 2050, 68% of people are projected to live in a city. I wanted to make a series of videos exploring the largest cities in the world, but I came to a few questions that needed to be asked before I started. What defines a city, and why are cities placed where they are? Figuring out the definition of a city is harder than you might think. In ancient times, it wasn't too hard. Most cities were protected by walls or other fortifications, giving it a very distinct border for a city. Sometimes, small agricultural settlements were situated outside the fortifications of a city, but their populations were negligible. As cities grew, it became harder to find where a city stopped. Most cities had a certain city center, but smaller settlements formed at the edge of cities, and as populations grew and warfare changed, it became unsuitable to build walls around a city. Especially in the 20th century, suburbs started forming around large cities, and some smaller cities started growing together. This has led to three main definitions of cities in the modern day. The most basic definition of a city is the city proper definition. This defines a city as the area under the legal jurisdiction of a city government or the area within a city limits. A well-known example of this is New York City, which has one mayor that governs an area comprising the 5 boroughs of Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. This area is considered the New York City proper and composes a population of 8.8 million people. This area includes the center of New York City, but many suburbs surrounding in New York State and New Jersey are excluded from this definition. This brings up the controversy of city proper, in that every country defines its cities differently. There are countries on both sides of the spectrum, with America largely having small city propers, with cities like Miami having a city proper population of 442,000, but a metropolitan area population of over 6.1 million. Some cities are almost fully forgotten about in the city proper definition. For example, Lagos, Nigeria, which is the second largest city in Africa, is left off of many city proper lists, as it is divided into many small local entities. On the other end of the spectrum is China, which is known for having large defined cities. China has 7 cities that have a city proper area of over 100,000 kilometers squared, which is comparable to Iceland or Kentucky. The largest of these population-wise is Chongqing, which has an area similar to Austria and a population of around 32 million, but in the urban area, it is considered to hold between 12 and 13 million. Because of the differing ways to define a city proper, it is often considered the weakest way to define a city. The top 10 largest cities by city proper on Wikipedia are Chongqing, Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Kinshasa, Delhi, Karachi, and Manila. A metropolitan area, also called a metro area, is a region which is composed of a dense urban area in the center and surrounding places that are connected by a transport network as well as connected economically. Metropolitan areas define regions which are often connected in culture, and people identify with the larger area more than any specific region. These often include the main city, suburbs, surrounding towns, and populated areas. Some metro areas are even made through two or more large cities growing together, such as Dallas Fort Worth or the Rhine Ruhr metro area. Overall, metro areas are more similar between countries than city proper, but data is still often taken from country censuses with their own definition of metro areas. The US uses metropolitan statistical areas in their census, while China has a newly created system for defining metro areas, which lowered metro area populations, such as Beijing, from over 100 million inhabitants to around 20 million. The top 10 cities by metropolitan area on Wikipedia are Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Tokyo, Dhaka, Jakarta, Chongqing, Delhi, Manila, and Seoul. On this list, Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shanghai all have over 80 million population, which is not true on all metro area lists. On macro trends, the top 10 are listed as Tokyo, Delhi, Shanghai, Dhaka, Cairo, Sao Paulo, Mexico City, Beijing, Mumbai, and New York City. This shows just how hard cities are to define, as not only do different countries have different ways of defining cities, but sources trying to display this information also interpret the data in different ways. But overall, metropolitan area is a better way of defining cities than city proper. The third and final way to define a city is urban area or urban agglomeration. An urban area is defined as the well built up area surrounding any central city. This area should have a high population density and a combined built up infrastructure. These areas include suburbs and areas connected by continuous built up human settlements, but do not include as disconnected areas as metropolitan regions do. In general, though, urban areas are very similar to metro areas, but are not as dependent on certain countries' definitions and are often determined by independent sources. On Wikipedia, the top 10 cities by urban population are Tokyo, Jakarta, Delhi, Guangzhou, Mumbai, Manila, Shanghai, Sao Paulo, Seoul, and Mexico City. Other independent sources define the urban areas in their own way, and the most well known source for urban agglomerations, and to some degrees cities in general, is citypopulation.de. City population, like any other independent organizations, combine information from census data, official estimates, and their own calculations. In my series on the largest cities in the world, I'll use data from this site. According to citypopulation.de, the 10 largest cities in the world by urban agglomeration population are Guangzhou, Shanghai, Tokyo, Delhi, Jakarta, Mumbai, Manila, Mexico City, Seoul, and Dhaka. By the fact I am using urban area, it is obvious that I think it is the best way to define cities, but in the end, cities are still just very hard to draw absolute lines through, and in my opinion, either metropolitan or urban areas are decent ways to define cities. Now that we know what defines a city, it is also important to know why cities are where they are. The number one aspect to consider when wondering why cities are where they are is water. From the absolute start of civilization, cities have always been based around water. Water is needed for drinking, farming, and trade. The largest city not built around a significant source of water is Johannesburg, which ranks only 30th in the world. The most basic aspect of water is that humans need it to drink and to a lesser extent bathe, and life is much easier if that water is easily accessible. Water is also required for agriculture and therefore a consistent food source. For any large population to coalesce, a good source of water for agriculture is required. Possibly most importantly, water is significant for trade. Because transporting resources across water requires significantly less energy than land, cities located along navigable rivers and oceans have an advantage in trade. This ability for agriculture and trade increases economic opportunities in a city and attracts people. Going hand in hand with water are other geographical advantages of a city. This often comes from being situated on a bay, peninsula, highland, or island. Bays allow ships to dock safely, which helps increase trade, while cities situated on peninsulas, highlands, or islands have a defensive advantage against any invading power. Certain cities, like Istanbul, also guard the entrances to bodies of water or overland trade routes, which allow them to control trade and increases their economy. Another aspect of city location is the resources in the area. Throughout history, these resources have often included fertile soil for agriculture, trees for construction and shipbuilding, and ores, such as iron, for tool and weapon making. In the modern day, resources that encourage city growth are often fossil fuels and minerals. Cities such as Dubai and Calgary have largely increased their populations because of oil discoveries near the previously founded cities. Finally, cities are often founded and especially grow in population because of political importance. Sometimes, cities are founded simply because a nation wants a new place to govern their people from. Cities such as Brasilia and Washington, D.C., were built up specifically to be the capitals of their nation. Also, when previously existing cities are designated as capitals of their respective nation, populations often grow quickly because of government jobs and influence to be won in the nation's politics. As more people move in, economic opportunities grow, and so does the population. This is why cities, such as London and Delhi, have become centers of their respective country through a positive feedback loop. This isn't always true, though, with some cities, such as New York, largely surpassing the populations of the capitals of their nation. So, cities are often founded because of water availability, geographic advantage, natural resources, and political importance. I hope that through watching this video, you have learned more about what defines a city and why cities are where they are. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos about the cities of the world.